All right, everybody. What a weekend of hoops at the Garden over the weekend. Celtics Cavs, Celtics Nuggets, playoff intensity level basketball. We're going to break it all down for you guys. We are live here following Celtics Nuggets on a Sunday afternoon. This is a Green with the MV post game. You guys know the deal. Let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into another edition of Green with Envy. This is a live Sunday post-game following a Boston Celtics 110-103 victory over the Denver Nuggets in a matchup of the past two NBA champions. As always, your boy Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? Joining me as he does each and every time, my best friend, co-host, and the coach of our podcast, the one and only Greg Menakis. Greg, fucking fun weekend of basketball. Like it feels like, honestly, I'm pretty, even though the Celtics split this, what a great time. What a great way to spend a weekend with this level of basketball over the weekend between Friday night and then this afternoon at the TD Garden.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the game in which the Jays set a career high for combined points, 83, they lose. First time they have ever lost a game in which they scored more than 70 points combined. And in this game where they both don't play that well, 11 combined turnovers for the two of them, Jason Tatum 4 for 15, 1 for 7 from 3. They end up winning that game, right? So you never know. In the playoffs, this is how it's going to go. And I think it was a good test for them and for everybody just to remember that the playoffs, there are such ebbs and flows. You lose one big game, you got to come back and win the next one. So I think it was a really good test for them.
Yeah, and both of these games, got to be noted, no KP, no Drew Holiday. That mallet finger, Greg, how's your mallet finger doing? You got any mallet finger these days? Or
no, I think I'm good. That sounds nasty, though.
It does, right? Yeah, it sounds a little perverse. So we'll leave that to the doctors. But yeah, apparently Drew Holiday, that did come out before the game. He's going to be out for undefined, but it sounds like at least a couple of weeks. He's probably going to be out.
Good,
got his finger in a
Take
splint.
the time. Rest your body.
Right. I was with a friend yesterday, and I was like, honestly, that's the best. Like, obviously, I hope his finger's fine when he comes back. But like, Holiday getting more time off. The 4 games that we got from him after the All-Star break, when he sat for about 2 to 3 weeks with the break, that was the best he's looked all season. So this could be one of those blessings in disguise. KP just seems like he's got the flu, which has been going around all over the place throughout this winter. So no worries there. But you look at these 2 games, Greg, and as I came in, hyped up on this playoff intensity basketball, when you think about those factors of not having 2 of your 5 starters, you go toe to toe with the Cavs. And yes, we can talk a little bit. It does suck to always lose a 25-3 lead, but with those factors and how much the Jays carried on their shoulders in that game, like that was still a pretty good sign to me when you look at the Cavs being at full strength. And you push them to that level, and then you respond coming back against the Nuggets team, who, to be fair, was without Aaron Gordon, who's a big part of both their offense and defense. And you put up this type of performance, especially in a tight game down the stretch, where I think in recent memory, the 2 Nuggets games last year were probably the 2 most dissected regular season games I can remember, specifically from a Celtics point of view. But even nationally, I feel like a lot of people put a lot of stakes into those 2 games and what it meant down the stretch about these 2 teams. So for the Celtics, especially when it felt like Jamal Murray, who had a just completely different worlds from him in the first half versus second half, for the Celtics to hold on, I think this was, a really important game for them to do so. And as you mentioned, definitely from Jason Tatum, kind of a I don't know if it's a weird or a bad game. I don't know what the right verbiage for it, but less than for the Jays compared to what they had on Friday night. For them to win this with their role guys being so phenomenal, which I want to talk about, I think that was really a statement win down the stretch for the Celtics.
Yeah, where do you want to start with this game? Do you want to start talking about the Cavs game and then come back, or do you want to go
well, let's go with the Nuggets game just because it's fresh. That's fresh. And if we have people joining us in the chat here as we are live on YouTube, once again, if you guys are not following us on YouTube, make sure you guys go subscribe. All of our podcast episodes go up on the feed. Some of them will be live, like this one today, when we have moments that make sense, as well as Friday, Coffee and C's, every Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. That's going to be live, so make sure you're following us on YouTube. But let's talk about today's game, Greg, because once again, I think you and I have talked about this a bunch of times. When you close your eyes, who's making the big play or who's hitting that big shot? It's Derek White, right? And Derek White, again, was that guy down the stretch. Not to say there wasn't other plays, but Derek White, I thought defensively all throughout this game was just everywhere, in little things that aren't going to show up in the stats, doing the Derek White type of things. And then at the end of the game, he's hitting big shots. He's taking a runner in the lane, which honestly I was a little surprised he took it, because that could have been a full reset of the shot clock to 14. He just kind of went right for it, but he hit some of the big shots of the game, makes a big steal as well in the mix. So I think for me, Derek White just being the guy that, especially on a night where Jaylen Brown, a little bit up and down, better night than certainly Jason Tatum, who once again, bad, weird. I don't know how to really put that, but Derek White is the guy that makes the clutch plays down the stretch.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start with Derek White. Is the most Derek White thing that happens in a basketball game when there's a huge steal from the opponent and then Derek White just steals the ball
right back.
He does that more than anybody I've ever seen in my life. Like, I can't picture anybody else on the Celtics actually doing a play like that other than Derek White. Like, he does that once every 5 games or something. It's crazy. And that was such a big moment because I think that was Tatum's 6th turnover. Tatum, I don't know if it was a game plan thing. He wasn't seeing the court as well. He wasn't like Christian Brown has great high hands. I think the way that they trap Tatum, when he was trying to go pick and roll, Jokic is super long. Brown is really good at timing those pick and roll traps. So I don't know what was up with Tatum, to your point, but Derek White, man, like that play, I think was the biggest play of the game, coming up with that steal after they just got a steal, right back from Tatum. So Derek White, man, 5 for 11 from 3 in this game. The shot definitely seems like it's fully back. I would like to see the Celtics go to a little bit more of the inverted pick and roll with Derek White and Jason Tatum that they were running a lot early in the year. I feel like I didn't see that quite as much today. Which I'm not really sure about why they went to it.
I mean, they went to Jaylen more
than
Tatum.
I was going to say they went to Jaylen in the inverted pick and roll. I don't know why they didn't go to Tatum there. Maybe it's because of the foul trouble. It was really weird. He had 1 foul and then he picked up 3 in like a 3-minute stretch. And then Mazzulla left him in the game the final 4 minutes of the third quarter when he could have just taken out Tatum and left Brown.
Let me ask you something real quick. I know we're talking about Derek White, but I did have something about Tatum that I thought was really weird from this game. And maybe it was just the Nuggets game plan of looking to maybe trap him off it. But he had a couple times where he could have just kind of got the pick and just gone full force, in and out dribble downhill at Jokic. And he kind of just was hesitant to do it. And I don't know. It felt weird to me because that has been all season kind of a staple of, hey, if I get a high pick and your center is going to try and come out to guard me, I'm going to blow right by this guy, or I'm going to take him to the hoop. And just didn't, I don't know. He just didn't want to do it today. I don't know. It was a very, very strange Jason Tatum game.
Yeah, and I shared with you before we came on, like I didn't see the first half of this game. I was coming back from a studio session, so I've only watched the second half. That's the only tape I have to go off of, so I can't speak to anything that happened in the first half. Was it very similar to how he played in the second half?
Yeah, it was very similar. Like the whole game was just a strange Jason Tatum game where it was kind of reluctant. There was a small stretch in the third where he got a little bit aggressive, driving to the hoop and getting to that mid range. But other than that, he was just kind of passive as far as wanting to get downhill.
And to be fair to Jason Tatum, coming off of a game in which he plays possibly the game of his life and takes 38 shots from the field, like you juxtapose 38 shots with 15, it probably feels a little bit different. Just coming off of how great he was in
daytime
that
start. It's really like a day and a half instead of 2 days later because of the matinee start time. So yeah, I mean, I'm once again, this is why I hesitate to call it a bad game. He had 11 rebounds and 7 assists to go along with it.
6 turnovers though. 6 turnovers is very un-Jason Tatum like. But let's go to Al Horford because I think this game was more about the other guys than it was about the Jays, right? Because Jaylen Brown, I thought he did a great job actually getting to his spot, and he got 3 wide open mid-range jumpers on Jamal Murray.
He was also just to the point of you missing the first half. He was great in the first half. First half was a very great. He had I think 12 points in the first quarter and was abusing the Jamal Murray matchup in the first half.
Yeah, and he had 8 assists. So the Jays 15 combined assists is great. 4 stocks for Jaylen Brown. So he was filling up the box score for sure. But Derek White was great in this game, and then Al Horford. Right, these are the games in which they save Al Horford. They keep him in the garage, and they finally roll him out there for like rolling up to the community picnic or whatever it is. Like Al Horford was out there, and they were showing him off in this game. And I want to think that when he grabbed Jokic at the end of the game, after the game was over and whispered in his ear, I don't know if you saw that interaction between the two of them,
I
but I
missed that.
feel
No.
like what Al Horford said to him was like, "Hey man, they don't really let me play like this anymore. I only played 35 minutes when we're going up against you, so props to you." Right? There's no Kristaps Porzingis in this game, second straight game. Al Horford needed to be great in this game, and he was great in this game. And 7 for 12 from the field, 8 rebounds, 3 steals out of Al Horford, just filling up the box score, 19 points. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time Al Horford played 35 minutes or had 19 points.
Yeah, and that last steal was great, right? The one where he's kind of laying low on the baseline, picks it off from the double team on Joker. And yeah, this is where we always come back to with Al, right? Al's 38 years old. He's played 95 seasons, and there's still matchups where he has just such an outsized importance in specific matchups. And should this be the NBA Finals, this is one of them. It's if we play the Bucks. Cavs game, maybe because they make series when they decide to go double big. But as we saw, and we can talk about this, the Cavs, went with Evan Mobley as the lone big, and that was a big part of their fourth quarter that they had against the Celtics.
Al actually played 38 minutes against the Cavs. So back-to-back games, 38 against the Cavs, 35 against the Nuggets.
He might need the whole week off to recover after that. But no, Al was awesome in this game. And honestly, I think the collective big man unit, although Jokic, he got his numbers. Like, let's see, what did Jokic finish with today? I mean, only 20 points for Jokic. Of course, he had 14 rebounds, 9 assists. Jokic is going to do his thing. He's Jokic. He's the best player in the world. But I thought collectively between Al, Luke, and Neemias Queta, who, as I've said before, he's up, he's down. Sometimes I like him, but I'm not sure what to make of him. This was a good Queta performance. And so when you look at those stable of big men and what they had to do today with no KP, like, I think it was a resounding success from the big man department today for the Celtics. And yeah, Al was leading the way, man. It's in some of these matchups where Al is going to be the third, outside of the Jays, he's going to be your first or second most important player, even when KP's back, because KP is not a good matchup for the Joker. He puts him under the basket. Like, that's not a great one-on-one matchup. Like, this is going to be an Al Horford series should it get to it. Same with Cleveland, same with Milwaukee. Like, those are going to be big Al Horford's minutes and series when they happen. And it's just a testament to the 38 years old making, I think $10 million compared to everyone else that's making 25 million plus out of that group of the big six. And he's just still incredible in moments that matter. And just don't ever take Al Horford for granted. That's the messaging, folks. Can't do it.
Definitely.
Can't do it. But
so Al Horford's season high is 20 points. He had that earlier in the year against the Cavs. So this is actually his second most points scored this year. Now, I just want to read you the games in which Al Horford has played 35 minutes or more. Okay. And I haven't looked through all of them. I'm going through this in real time with you right now. So let's see if we can find some sort of trend here. First game, December 6th against the Bucks. The Celtics win 111-105. Al Horford plays 36 minutes. The next time, in a loss against Orlando, December 23rd, 35 minutes. We lost 108-104. The next time was not until 34 minutes. I think that was the only other time. So 2 games in which he's played 35 minutes. There's another game against Denver. He played 34. Oh, there we go. Another game against Minnesota, January 2nd. He played 35, right? So 35 minutes against the T-Wolves in a win, 34 minutes against the Nuggets in a win, and then 34 minutes against the Spurs, 38 minutes against the Cavs. Right. So it's most of those teams have size. I think that's one.
These are all the culprits that you would think that you're going to need Al Horford for larger stretches, right? Like, this is totally making sense to me that these are the teams, the T-Wolves, the Spurs, the
Wembies.
But for Wemby, exactly. Yeah. For against Jokic, against, like this is exactly what you need him for. And this is where, making sure Al Horford gets to the postseason, healthy is going to be so important. Obviously, no more Embiid. Embiid shut down for the season. So even if the Sixers were to sneak in, that's less of a concern. But that's another one of the teams that you would expect that, if Embiid were healthy, you'd probably see a 34, 35, 36-minute type effort from Al Horford. And again, he's just so impressive. 7 of 12, 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, the 8 rebounds, the 3 steals, 19 points. Just can't say enough good things about him. And then, we've talked a lot about Luke lately. I think Luke and some of the passing Luke and Al had back and forth was great today. And then Luke and Nemi just stepping up with no KP today. I think it was really important for those guys to have solid games. And, for a guy like Nemi to get just under 17 minutes tonight and feel like there wasn't really the Nemi mistakes that sometimes really stick out to you when you're watching. He avoided those today, and he made an impact. I mean, 10 rebounds in just 16 minutes or just under 17 minutes. Like, Nemi's an active body, and yeah, he had a really impressive performance today for him off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to the versatility of the roster that when you talk about the games that we just laid out, Al Horford playing more than 34 minutes in those games against the teams with a lot of big guys, and then you see them able to go to Luke Cornett, able to go to Keita against a matchup with Jokic, where they're gonna need to go double big for majority of the game without KP, right? That just speaks to that stable of bigs that you always like to talk about. But I do want to transition here, Will, to talk about the Cavs game, because this weekend I think was
Let's go.
a big picture. We just got the win against the Nuggets. Obviously, the game against the Cavs left a little bit of a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths with the way that they blew that initial 25-3 lead, where Jason Tatum's yelling at the camera and telling them to get the fuck out of here, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not a good look. That's like the narrative of the Celtics being front runners. That's not a good look for that. But going to that game, was there anything that really stood out to you besides what we've already talked about off air? The fact that they left Sam Hauser in the game on an island where he just got torched in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think I love this guy. I had a great time watching this game. It was just stars being stars. Donovan Mitchell doing his thing, Darius Garland doing his thing. Evan Mobley, I think, is someone that I want to talk about because in the fourth quarter, he had 11 points and 8 rebounds. Like, I think to me, that was one of the biggest differences of the game because through the first 2.5 to 3 quarters, he was kind of silent. He got into foul trouble. I think he was 6 points and 4 fouls with just a couple of rebounds, not really many block shots. And so it was like, man, maybe the Celtics are just not a good matchup for Mobley. You know what I mean? And then he really came on and was like, oh, y'all forgot. I'm actually an all-star this year. This is the
right. And what's interesting is Mobley plays 29 minutes in that game. Will Jared Allen only plays 23. Right. So like they really ended up going. Yeah, they really ended up going away from that double big lineup against the Celtics and leaned a lot more into going small with DeAndre Hunter, who played 29 minutes. Dean Wade played 19 minutes in that game, right? So they were definitely leaning into one center because when you go double big against the Celtics, it's just not going to work.
Right. And that to me was the biggest difference, was them really leaning into, hey, Evan Mobley's at our 5. We now have DeAndre Hunter. Here's our new lineup. And that fourth quarter, they kind of killed the Celtics with that, specifically Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. And that's where you do, even though, again, Holiday, KP, both out. I think for me, the way that Mobley and Mitchell work together down the stretch in the fourth quarter is probably what stood out the most on a game that, I'll be honest, didn't concern me because of KP and Holiday being out.
Mitchell even said that in the post game. He said it doesn't matter. Drew and KP didn't play.
And here's the thing, Greg. So for the season series, split 2-2, Cavs for the Celtics. The Celtics were healthy in one game out of those 4, as far as having your top 6, 7. They won that game. Every other game that they lost, no Brown, no Derek White in one of those games in Cleveland that went down to the wire, no KP, no Holiday in this game. Final score of those 4 games, 460-459 Cavs. They were perfectly healthy in every single matchup. So having said that, I still think it's going to be really tough if the Celtics have all their guys, or even most of their guys, to be honest, for the Cavs to win 4 out of 7. Definitely a healthy level of respect with what I saw. You mentioned the one thing that I think just really stood out to me is Mazzulla not even really trying to bring in Torrey Craig, maybe to
3 minutes in the first half.
Yeah, did you see the bullshit answer he gave when someone asked? I think it was Bobby Manning might have asked him about it. And I kind of, listen, Joe is Joe. I kind of hate when he gives like answers that are just deflections that he pretends are not deflections.
Right.
Where, Bobby Manning was like, what did you guys ever, I forget what, I'm paraphrasing his question, but like, how come you didn't, or was there ever a thought to giving him a look? And essentially he was like, well, he played a really important, minute 59 or whatever it was that he played in the first half. 2:57 is what Torrey Craig played at the end of the first quarter. And talked about his defense on Ty Jerome, who was going off at the end of the first quarter to keep the Cavs attached. I'm like, that's a nice answer, but it also just didn't answer the question at all. And that's a little frustrating sometimes. And Joe Mazzulla, in my opinion, has a tendency to do that and pretend like it's not avoiding answering the question. But, it is what it is. But that was the one thing to me that I think could have changed the game, was just not leaving Sam to get killed, which, Sam was doing his best. And he had a couple times where he got stops, but it was very clear that was where they were going to go time and time again. But at the end of the day, like I still it was a fun night, but it doesn't change anything about how I feel about Cavs Celtics. Should that be, and I have a hard time seeing the Eastern Conference landscape not shaking out to the Celtics Cavs in the
Yeah,
Eastern
Cavs are
Conference
good.
Finals. Yeah, they're really good. It still doesn't shake my confidence that that's a series, whether it goes 6-7 games, that I still fully expect the Celtics to win. And
Mhm.
I think they potentially can even do it, not at 100%. Obviously, that makes it considerably harder, but I still wouldn't rule that out. I don't think we're at that level yet.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the Cavs really impressive with their bench. Their bench just destroyed our bench in
Oh,
that game.
33-6. Yeah.
33-6 in that game. You look at like the plus minus of our main bench guys, Cornette and Pritchard, they're like minus 70 combined or something like that. Something insane. And when you think about the guys coming off the Cavs bench, right? So they had Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter, Sam Merrill, Dean Wade, and Isaac Okoro. All
Mhm.
of those guys made an impact in that game. Sam Merrill, for as much as I want to hate him, he's like just this pesky little guy, man. He's like very Peyton Pritchard-esque. He's putting pressure on the ball. He's not as good of a defender as Pritchard, but he's a willing defender. He's gonna put his hands all over you. Dean Wade is an underrated player that we've always both liked. Okoro did a really good job while he was out there defensively. He took that 1-3 above the break that got him yanked out of the game. But then Hunter, man, Hunter made a big impact in this
Yeah.
game. Only took 6 shots, but he was 3 for 3 from downtown in that game. And he just makes a big difference. And this is what we said in the game right before the trade deadline. They're just missing that one piece because they wouldn't have survived with Double Big and Jared Allen. They wouldn't have survived with Max Strus out there. They wouldn't have survived with Sam Merrill or Dean Wade. They needed somebody else out there to fill that final 5th spot for the team. And I thought DeAndre Hunter did a great job. I still think the Celtics, the road goes through Boston, even though the road's technically going to go through Cleveland because we're not catching them anymore.
Yeah.
It was good to see Jason Tatum have one of those games. We haven't seen Tatum put the cape on like that. He faded a little bit down the stretch of that one.
Mhm.
He was deferring to Jalen a little bit in the fourth quarter, 0 for 4 in the second half from 3 for Tatum. But 46 points, 16 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 blocks. What
I thought
more
it was
could you
good to
ask?
see. I also thought I thought that was maybe Jalen's best game of the year. Jalen
Yeah.
was efficient, was 37 points. I mean, the thing that I take away from that game and the game today against the Nuggets is good luck if you think we're not going to go try to put Darius Garland or Jamal Murray into the
Mhm.
post with Jalen Brown. And in the Nuggets game, Jalen started might have been a little bit tired, came up a little short on a few shots where he had, I thought, great looks as far as getting into the lane or getting into right around the free throw line for that little pull up shot.
Mhm.
Came up short a couple times, but I thought they were great looks. I thought he did that a lot against those smaller defenders. So I thought that was super encouraging to see Jalen's performance in both of these games over the weekend. One other thing from the Cavs game that minor concern that did stick out to me, and maybe this changes if you do have Holiday and KP back, but the Pritchard aspect of this is kind of a game where, hey man, we need some more scoring. We need a little bit more impact. Played nearly 26 minutes, only 6 points, a negative 36. It was just one of those games where the size of Peyton Pritchard and the impact, because the Cavs are, despite minus Darius Garland, they're all big and long, right? And Ty
Mhm.
Jerome is solid. Like that's kind of a tough matchup for Peyton Pritchard. So his effectiveness in a 7-game series versus them, I'm a little bit interested to see what that would look like. Again, I think full strength, that makes a bigger difference because whether it's defensively, he's got more help on the backside, or if someone else is able to switch off ball with him. I think that makes a bit of a difference. But a minor concern for me at times is still how much we might need to be reliant on Peyton Pritchard to step up. And in certain matchups, it's not always going to be there, right? There's a reason that, even if he wins 6th man of the year, that he is that bench player. That's the other
Mhm.
only minor concern I have taken away from the Cavs game.
Yeah, there are going to be certain series in which it doesn't make sense for Peyton Pritchard to get 26 minutes in those series.
Right.
He's probably going to average 13 to 15. You're going to see more Luke. You're going to see more Sam. Obviously, you'll have KP and Drew out there when they're healthy. But yeah, I think that's a bad matchup for Peyton Pritchard. And there are a lot of bad matchups against when you go deep into the playoffs, Peyton Pritchard is going to get less and less time on the court, depending on
Mhm.
how those matchups shake out.
Yeah, but obviously, if Holiday's there, that already cuts into that minutes, and like you said, it probably gets down to that 12 to 13 minute range. But overall, Greg, what a fun weekend of
It's fun to
basketball.
think about the playoffs. It's right around the corner.
Right.
It's like when you're podcasting in November and December, the playoffs seem so far away. We're officially in March, and the
It's
playoffs
next
are right
month,
around
dude.
the corner.
It's next month.
I'm
Yeah,
pumped.
by the end of April, we're in the first round of the playoffs, right? So it's coming sooner than you think. So that's why it's nice to see these tune-up games. And like you said, Greg, how do you bounce back, right? Because that's how it's going to be in the playoffs. You play Friday night, and you're like, shit, they gave everything and they lost. All right, well, Sunday's up. It's a 2-2 series. What do you got for game 5? It's a 2-0 series. Like, you got to put your foot on their throat here, or you're going to give them momentum going back now. So you got to be ready to have that, kind of put that in your rear view mirror and step up for that next game. So I love this. Very exciting weekend of basketball here. Quickly on the Nuggets here, Greg, because obviously this would only be a finals matchup. Do you I know you only caught the second half of this game, but I'm sure you've checked in here and there on some of the Nuggets, throughout the season. From what you've seen, how realistic do you think it is for them to make a run in the West?
I mean, they didn't have Gordon tonight. I think that he makes
That's a
a
big
big
part.
difference. Big difference for them. I think it's realistic, man. I like as much as I love the Thunder, I don't think they have like the greatest offensive depth on that team. And in the playoffs, they're
Yeah.
gonna need to score the basketball, and teams can really game plan to take away your best player. As great as Shea is, he's gonna face defenses that are dead set on stopping him and getting the ball out of his hands. Just like we saw with Tatum after he drops 46 against the Cavs. The Nuggets had a better game plan than the Cavs did in this one, right? And I thought they did a really good job from what I saw of the game today. So I think that anything can happen in a 7-game series when you have Jokic on your team and the Jokic Murray two-man game, and just like the reps that those guys have together. So I would say, I don't know, the contenders in the West are the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Lakers. Probably that's it, right? Maybe we could throw the Warriors in there. Maybe you could throw the Grizzlies in there. I wouldn't call them contenders. And I think, the Nuggets can beat anybody, any game.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'd say it's 50-50.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. I
40-60.
think that's likely the Western Conference Finals, depending on how seeding breaks, right? Like Nuggets, Thunder, Celtics, Cavs. Like that feels like the appropriate Final Four just based off where we are in the regular season right now. Like if that's what it ends up being, it's like, all right, regular season told us that these are the 4 best teams, and I think it does kind of feel that way. But yeah, out West, I think that's I think you're spot on. I think I pretty much agree with just about everything you said. But yeah, exciting weekend of basketball for the Celtics at the TD Garden. Greg, let's transition here to our stat of the week, and I'm going to jump in and go first. We were just talking about Peyton Pritchard. And, today he had more of an impact than he did on Friday night. And today's game finished 4 of 7, 3 of 5 from the field, 11 points, 9 of those coming in the first half, 3 of 5 from 3-point range. And so, Greg, I saw this online earlier, looked it up today to make sure I get the most up-to-date stats for it. But my stat of the week is going to be bench 3-pointers made. Peyton Pritchard's leading the NBA with plus the 3 he had today, now 193 3-pointers made. Second on that list is Malik Beasley of the Detroit Pistons at 188. Third is Gary Trent from the Milwaukee Bucks. Peyton Pritchard's at 193. Malik Beasley's at 188. Gary Trent, he's played roughly about the same amount of games as them. How much, where do you think he's at on that stat?
I'm going to go
just
105.
give me a guess of where you think he is. Not
105.
bad. He's at 114. The gap between Peyton Pritchard, Malik Beasley, and the third player in 3-pointers made off the bench, I don't even know what to call that gap. 188 to 114. It's pretty incredible just to see how big of a gap there is between second and third place, and where Malik Beasley and Peyton Pritchard are just so far and away. At the top of that list, again, speaks to the candidacy of Peyton Pritchard to go ahead and get that 6th man of the year. Like we said, playoffs could be a different story, but that's a huge reason why Peyton Pritchard is going to be potentially the 6th man of the year. It's his ability just to be the best 3-point shooter off the bench in the entire league.
I like using the Strahan scale for gaps, so I'm saying it's at least 3 teeth on the Strahan scale.
Did you say that earlier this week in a tweet or something?
Yeah.
I feel like I saw. Okay, I saw that and I clocked it, but I didn't remember it. The Strahan scale is pretty good. That's one of your better pieces of work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. My stat is going to be Jaylen Brown free throws over his last 9 games. Jaylen Brown, including tonight's game. So coming into tonight's game, Jaylen Brown was 27 for 30 from the free throw line in his last 8 games. He was 7 for 10 against the Cavs, which prompted Danielle's Aunt Jackie to text me. This guy would be better shooting underhanded. And I was like, whoa, Jaylen Brown catching strays. Jackie. Like, I feel like Jalen's played pretty good in this one.
Is Aunt Jackie locked into Jalen at the free throw line like that?
I didn't realize it, but I got that message and I told Danielle, I was like, why is Jaylen Brown catching strays from Aunt Jackie? But Jalen was 8 for 9 from the line tonight. So 35 for 39 over his last 9 games. Jaylen Brown in the month of February, he only averaged 3.8 free throws per game in the month of February, but he only missed 4 free throws the entire month of February from the free throw line. And that's really, if you think about last season versus this season, one of the things that we were just like picturing in our head before the Celtics won the title was, what's the worst way this season could end? And it was Jaylen Brown missing free throws in crunch time. So it's nice to see that Jaylen is really starting to figure himself out at the line.
Yeah, and you can see it's so funny. I mean, we've been watching Celtics basketball for over 30 years, more than almost anybody. Jalen's one of the guys, as soon as he shoots his first free throw of the game, like, I can tell he's confident or I can tell he's not confident, right?
Right.
You can
Pierce
tell.
Went through a few stretches like that.
Pierce went through a stretch. Rondo's another guy where, Rondo and Antoine Walker both went through the same thing where they were just petrified of the line and like stopped going inside because like, I just don't want to get fouled, right? Like they just wouldn't take shots at the rim. But Jalen is just, it's a very obvious, I'm not a huge subscriber to the Bill Simmons body language. I just feel like it's always just a little bit overly subjective. But with Jaylen Brown, when he's at the free throw line, sometimes he misses. I'm just like, oh fuck, we're in for a long quarter. If he's shooting a free throw with 7 minutes left and it's just brutally short, and you can tell he's in his head, that there's some worry going on there. So I think it's so important to see Jaylen Brown at the free throw line, looking confident, and having one of his better free throw shooting stretches right now of his career. So that's going to be big for the Celtics here as we head down the stretch. Greg, keep it going for us here. Let's go to in or out of the week. What do you got for us?
I'm in on Jimmy Butler skipping out on the last 2 months of his rent in his Miami place. $130,000 per month Jimmy Butler owed in rent. So he owes $260,000 in unpaid rent. And I'm in on Jimmy Butler just going full villain mode on this. He's like, fuck the Heat, fuck Miami, fuck landlord.
The city of Miami, not just the Miami Heat organization, the whole city.
Fuck Heat culture. This is the culture that I'm leaving behind. $260,000 unpaid rent. Shout out to Jimmy Butler for being
man, when Jimmy Butler goes down, when Jimmy Butler just decides that he's out on a situation, nobody goes out like Jimmy Butler. I gotta say, man, when you think about like the Minnesota situation, you think about just the way that basically he's left every scenario in his NBA career. It is just people getting dragged left and right. It doesn't go smoothly, right? There is no smoothness to Jimmy Butler leaving a situation. And of course, he gets to every new situation and immediately turns into a model citizen. He wants to open up a coffee shop in San Francisco. He's playing, but he didn't play on Saturday night in their game, which, by the way, did you check out your boy Quentin Grimes last night?
Dude, I was going to bring that up. Quentin Grimes dropping 44 in the game.
He dropped 44 while going, I think, 2 of 7 from the free throw line, which is just hilarious. But
I've always liked
Quentin Grimes balling out. Didn't play. Yeah, Jimmy Butler didn't play in that game, but for the most part, that was part of the issue with Miami was like, dude, part of our culture is like people show up to go to work and play, and you don't fucking play. Like, sorry, we're not giving you another $100 million to show up and not play. And Jimmy's just going scorched earth, but now has played in, I think, 6 out of 8 games or whatever it is for the Warriors, who, are now a kind of fringe contender. I think it's interesting to see what's going on in Golden State. But yeah, Jimmy Butler just leaving with $260,000 worth of unpaid rent. But just a hilarious move for a multimillionaire to do. Like, so
yeah.
But
that's a lot of money, man. Imagine paying $130,000 for a month of rent.
Well, I think I did see like it doubled in amount because it was like in delinquency or something like that, or it went past like a certain point. So it might have been half of 130. So whatever that is, 75,000 or I don't know if that math is right, but whatever that comes out to be, I think it might have been closer to that. So he's paying some fees for it as well. But yeah, I like that. Jimmy Butler, scorched earth master. For my in or out, I'm just keep it very simple. Went to a diner this morning for the first time in a while to have some breakfast. Diner food is fucking awesome, man. I love diner food. Nothing better than a good diner breakfast. Went to the Omelet Tree out here in Austin, Texas.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
Been a minute. Woke up, just throwback idea from the wifey. I was like, yeah, let's make it happen. Got some pancakes.
That's a
got
place
an
you went
omelet.
with your dad back in the day, right?
Yeah. It was right down. It's right near the old it's like right on Airport Boulevard.
Yeah.
Great spot. Love me a classic diner. That's one of the things that's like, no matter where you go, at least like in America, you find like an old school diner, you're never gonna leave dissatisfied, right? The staples are always gonna hit. Yeah, it's a great way to start the Sunday.
Love it. What's your favorite diner food that you can purchase? You can go. Let's go breakfast or brunch. Breakfast or brunch diner food. What are you getting?
I mean, this is the old. I think this was a Barstool Big Cat thing. Pancakes for the table is the best thing. Like that's the best move because everybody wants a pancake. But honestly, dude, like we got like a short stack that came with Lorena's dish, so that's what we split that, and then we had like some hash browns, and we both got omelets, whatever, some toast and stuff like that, and like the short stack was just these two pancakes. Like we couldn't even finish them. Like, right. Like between the two of us, like they were pretty ginormous. And so it's just like, I really want that. But if you're going to have to make it your whole meal, you feel way too full. So being able to split it amongst whoever you're with, that's the best move. And honestly, like I like cooking pancakes at home. They just come out better at a diner. They always do. Like that's just the truth. You can get them bigger. Yeah, exactly.
They find the right amount of butter. So I'm going to answer my own question. I'm definitely going pancakes for the table. That was whoever brought that up the first time when people were listening to Barstool back in the day. That's a staple, especially when I'm out with new people. Pancakes for the table. But personally, I'm always going to try a diner chocolate milk. Every diner that I go to, I always try the chocolate milk because I feel like they always use whole milk, which is great, as they should. And it's just fun to compare diner chocolate milks. One of the diners that I actually really liked, was it called 24 Diner? The one that was by Amherst, UMass?
Oh God, Route 9 Diner.
Route 9, yeah, Route 9 Diner.
Route
24
9
hours.
unbelievable. Yeah,
Route 9 Diner had some of the best chocolate milk that I've ever had, and I was also probably blackout drunk every time I went there. But I remember liking the
sticks out though.
Route 9 Diner chocolate milk. So that's always a go-to for me. You definitely got to get the chocolate milk.
Yeah, shout out to Route 9 Diner, man. Anyone that's been to UMass Amherst or went to UMass Amherst, you know the deal. Route 9 Diner after. What was the pizza place? Was Antonio's.
Antonio's is good too.
Antonio's, another shout out. Good pizza there. Good drunk food all around. Yeah, love that. Good in or out by us. Good job by us. All right, Celtics week coming up here. A couple days off for the Celtics now on Monday, Tuesday. They got an extended home stretch here. So Wednesday, Robert Williams back in town. Portland Trail Blazers come to town Wednesday, followed up by a back-to-back with Philadelphia. Obviously, no Joel Embiid in that one. We'll see what's happening with the Sixers. I feel like they got drama every time there. So they got the Sixers on Thursday, and then Saturday, LeBron, Luka in town Saturday. Lakers, Celtics, Saturday night. That'll be a fun one. We'll probably have something for you guys Sunday recording after that game. So not after that game on Saturday, excuse me, but on Sunday, the day after, we'll be recording and we'll have some follow-up for you on that one. So week ahead, Portland on Wednesday, Philly on Thursday, LeBron and Luka Saturday night. Mark it down in your calendars. Greg, any final words before we send the people out to go enjoy the rest of their Sunday, or if there's this on Monday, get the rest of their week going?
I was going to do this for stat of the week, but I really wanted to talk about the Jimmy Butler thing. So Donovan Mitchell, all-time record, 30.8 points per game against the Celtics, officially has surpassed Michael Jordan at 30.7. Donovan Mitchell is the all-time leading scorer against Boston Celtics. Shout out to Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, he's a beast, man. I think he's going to get that final 4 of the 5 first team all NBA spots feel like locks. I think he's getting pretty close to locking up that 5th spot. Like I feel like,
is he on my team or your team in the draft?
I'd have to look it up, man. I don't remember. I think that might be one of the guys that you have. But yeah, I feel like he's getting pretty close to locking up that 5th spot. Donovan Mitchell, man, he's a beast. That guy's gonna be a problem in the playoffs. Looking forward to that. We'll keep track of obviously the Cavs, Celtics, and everything that's happening with them as we head towards the playoffs. Like we said, guys, we're in the mix now. We're in it now. We're into March. We've got about another month and a half of basketball, and then by the time we hit April 20th, we're in the playoffs, man. We're in the mix. So it's coming fast. So get ready for it. We'll be here with all the coverage that you guys need. So appreciate you guys for tuning in with us here, whether it's on YouTube or you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, wherever it is you listen to the podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube and also give us a review. We need some more reviews. We haven't had some reviews in a while, nor have I called it out. So maybe next time I'll mention it at the beginning of the podcast. But appreciate you guys. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your weeks. And we will catch you on Friday for Coffee and C's. Peace.